Motherhood is a constant battle between holding on and letting go. It's an endless journey of sacrifice where we give, and we give, even when it seems that there's nothing left to give. It's the hardest job, but the most rewarding. On today's episode, we have a woman who knows all about motherhood. She's a family life practitioner, and her name is Bokun Imoukhuede. Welcome, Bokun. It's great to have you in the studio today.
Thank you, Gona. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell me, Bokun, what do you do?
So, well, I'm a woman with many hats, but I would say first, I would like to describe myself as a boundless, pure vibration energy.
Wow, I like that statement, boundless, pure vibration energy.
That boundless comes from my name because my full name is Bokun.
Bokun.
I had to reinterpret my name because the initial meaning my parents had, because they had their own meaning, but I had to give another interpretation to my name. So it's Bokun, which is like boundless wealth,
Boundless wealth.
It's like wealth covering the ocean or the sea.
Wow.
Like the Bible describes, so boundless wealth. So, and that's why I like to use that word, pure, boundless, pure vibration energy. And I just believe that I'm empowered to inspire women, to support women, especially mothers, to see themselves, their true and authentic self, and live above the labels of whatever role they might be playing, especially a motherhood role.
Wow, I love that description. Pure, boundless energy.
Yeah. So 9 to 5, I'm in the IT consultancy business. Okay. I work as an IT consultant 9 to 5. And then from 5 to 11, I do work as a family life practitioner, like you mentioned earlier. So
what does that involve?
So I work a lot, mostly with mothers. I tend to just provide that support by coaching moms who've, come to me or who've come across some of the work that I do with mothers, just ensuring that they live that fulfilling life and they live that harmonious life where they're not just showing up as a role, but first you're seeing yourself as a woman who is completing herself, an authentic you. And then in any of the other roles you have to show up. So there are a few domains to women, and I just help them to see the different domains of life, not just from one thing. So it's about the woman.
The individual themselves,
yes,
not just the role they're playing,
not just the role.
In society or at home.
At home, yeah. Who are you as a woman? Who do you see? And loving that womanhood. That's what I do.
Wow, I love that. So a woman or a mother might be online, might see the thumbnail for this video, and, it might sound interesting and they might decide to watch. So why do you think anybody who's tuned in should stay and watch? What do you think they'll gain from listening to this interview?
Okay, so you want to come and listen because, motherhood for us, especially within Momsaloud, has been redefined in many ways. There's a lot going out there. There's a lot of comparison. There's a lot of pressure.
Definitely.
There's a lot of demands on you. But the first person in the whole equation is you. When they're telling us about mathematics and they say, find X, if you can't find X, there's no equation you're solving. So that X is you as a woman. And you want to stay and listen. Even if you're a man, a young man, someone who's married, who's not, you want to listen to this because we're pouring out our heart as mothers. Things that, probably were not allowed to, people were not allowed to say in the past, or we just sweep them under the carpet. But this is keeping it real. This is not, just social media stuff. This is the real authentic mothers talking. And you just want to watch, you want to listen, you want to connect, you want to learn, you want to hear some of the experiences, things that ideally people don't talk about outside. So there's a lot in stock in this episode you just want to listen to.
So tell me, what's Momsaloud?
That question. So Momsaloud is a platform that's been created by moms, and specifically for moms, we provide support, we provide community and tools for the mother. And the focus is not just on motherhood, but the focus is on you as a woman. This support is usually targeted at the Black mom because they are culturally sensitive or culturally targeted for the Black woman, and mostly around your mental wellness, your emotional wellness. That's where we come in as Momsaloud. We're there to provide that support. So the tools, the support, and the community where you can thrive majorly, mentally, and emotionally. That's what Momsaloud is.
What made you create Momsaloud? Because you're the founder. Huh?
Yes. So actually, Momsaloud started a while back. It started as I don't know if you know about Blackberry groups.
Remind me of that movie, Blackberry Babes.
So we started off first from as an offshoot of my own personal story and stories of some other moms who we started the group together then. So we realized that I had just moved into the UK then, and some of my friends, and I met a few other people who were Black moms or African moms or Nigerian moms, if you want to classify it that way, in the UK. And what we realized was that we had a number of questions.
Like what?
Questions like, we're new to motherhood. We know that there's a way that babies should be taken care of in terms of how do you bathe the baby, how do you take care, how do you breastfeed, exclusive breastfeeding or bottle feeding. There were so many questions. And of course, we all used to run to websites like Momsnet, Net Moms. But in going to those websites, we realized that, yes, there were good resources or tools that we could use or community, but there was something missing.
What was that?
That cultural thing about us. Our culture wasn't in there because they were talking from their experience. They were sharing their stories. But there was just something missing about our own story, our own journey as people of, African descent.
Yeah.
Because there's the way we were raised culturally. There's the way we raise children. There's so many questions I couldn't ask them. And there were so many answers I couldn't find on Momsnet.
That connection wasn't there.
It wasn't there. So we had to come together, and we started by, okay, you know what? I found something to bathe your baby on Asda. This baby bath that you could actually have your baby lying down like it's a car seat, and you could just pour water. So at least you're not, worrying whether you know how to. Those baths that our parents used to have, the plastic ones, or because in the UK you don't have that. You just have to either sit in the bath or something, and we could still, have that cultural connection or whatever way you wanted to raise your child. You could still do it. So we were dealing with things like, my baby is not sleeping through the night. I'm awake trying to breastfeed, but I feel lonely. I feel like I'm alone. And we had that group where, we could come together and someone's breastfeeding at 3, but somebody else is online and you're both chatting. What are you up to? This boy is up again. But just that sense of
having someone else
shared,
there,
humanity, exactly, alone was enough for us to pull through. That sense of just knowing that there's somebody else going through the same thing, or somebody that's just there to support, even if they're not giving you, what's it called, professional support. But the fact that we're both going through it, you were just there as a support, or just somewhere I could go and rant and just say, you know what, I'm trying to breastfeed and I'm not just feeling it all. We've had mothers say things like, I'm so overwhelmed. I feel like leaving my 2 babies and just running away right now. Moments where you just feel like throwing in the towel. We come in and share this moment. True, genuine stories.
You mentioned your story that it was birthed out of your own experience. What was your experience?
So my experience was coming into the UK with an 18-month-old baby and then pregnant. And the fact that you're leaving all the support that you'd ideally get, because I had my mom, I had my grandmom, I had aunties all around me in Nigeria that if you have, when you have young children, they can always rally around you to help. You can say, oh, please, I'm just going to drop the kids, I'm off. So coming in, I felt a bit overwhelmed with, how am I going to handle, having to be alone with this, having to do this with young babies. And like I said, just when I was thinking about it, I had 1, 2, 3 other moms who were experiencing the same thing just about the same time. And we're just that connect to say, wow, okay, so I'm not alone. And that was so soothing. And then we just came up and said, okay, this group, let's start something. We actually started something without even knowing. I was like, okay.
Help other people.
Yeah, and then people just started joining. I would come in and from there, we just like, okay, what name should we give it? Blah, blah, blah. And we started thinking, and then the name Momsaloud came up, and that was it.
Wow. So from your experience, as a family life practitioner, what are the main issues that mothers face? What are the main challenges that you've noticed that mothers face?
So the challenges of mothers would vary per the season or the age of their children. So are you talking about young moms? Are you talking about moms with older kids? So it would vary. But if I try to zone in a bit for young moms, because I don't know, I just tend to have this heart for them because that's where my journey started from. I was zoning just because of our time, and I'll just try and talk on what young moms, I think, is some of the biggest challenges. For a young mother, there's a lot of exhaustion and sleep deprivation, especially when your kids are usually between the ages of 0 to 3. This newborn 0 to 3, that's what. Because suddenly you come from that pregnancy photo shoot where you're happy and like, I'm expecting my baby, to those few weeks before the baby, and you're thinking in your head, what's my child going to look like? Who's my child going to look like? And you're having those sleepless nights of dreams of, when would excitement as well as anxiety and fears and, mixed with everything just running through your mind. Because I had that. I was thinking, what's my baby going to look like? To you having a baby and there's a sudden drop in the hormones that are in your body. It's like you're 100% in some hormones and suddenly it drops about 25%. So that alone starts to get into your brain and so there's that hormonal imbalance, sleep deprivation, and of course, exhaustion that comes. Suddenly you're overwhelmed with you're having to do so much because that sleepless night would make you have to, there's the number of feeds. Babies can't tend to sleep for more than a few hours when they're new. And that constant battle of having to change diapers.
Not knowing
why they're crying, the diaper changes, the breastfeeding, the moms are, in pain, and a lot of times when they're still the first few weeks, your body is just trying to adjust and get back to normal. So that's one thing that new moms would face. The second thing is that sense of isolation. Suddenly it's like, maybe if you've had a baby dedication or naming that we call it, after the first few days, even that can sometimes be a bit stressful. And it's like people came all the way to support you. And after that baby dedication or naming,
they've forgotten about you.
Exactly. Suddenly it feels like, oops, reality sets in and I'm all alone.
Nobody's, sending
prepared,
you food or presents.
Exactly.
Again.
So, nobody's prepared you for that phase and you're constantly having to, change and do all of that. And I think lastly would be lack of support, especially if you're a mom outside of where you'd normally have family members. That lack of support can be a big, big challenge for a new mom. Because if you don't have people helping you and just all the things I've talked about the, exhaustion that comes, sleeplessness, it will tell on you. And, so those are some challenges for new moms. But of course, again, as the kids grow, When you move to the other phases, like your preschool, you start to think about developmental changes.
Yeah.
You start to think of, you have your school runs to do. You have to think of, becoming an emotional coach for that child, because you're running to do. You're thinking about tantrums. You're thinking about, how they settle into. So there's all that when they start getting to school age. And of course, when they now get into preteens and adolescent, that's another phase, because then you're dealing with things like bullying. You're dealing with, you're dealing with all the extracurricular activities they have to do, from football to all sorts of things, swimming, the schoolwork. There's a lot of demand on you, different levels. And of course, I don't call it the almighty, but then when they start getting to the teenage years and actually becoming, proper adults, that's another phase that has its own. That phase is in a class of its own. You don't want to get it wrong, because that's when your results are going to come out. 18 years, that's what
of
the
parenting,
kids of parenting.
To see the results of that.
So you start to see it, because that's when they're becoming adults, becoming individuals. So at that point, it's connection and all that you need. So
I saw something online about motherhood, and it said one major issue a lot of women face, and they don't want to admit it, is resentment. So it's like you've invested so much energy into your children, into your spouse, into your home, and then you don't feel like you're getting, the thank you, the well done from your children, mom, you're great. You don't feel like you're getting all of that. And so resentment is there. And when I was reading, it said that a lot of women don't want to actually admit it or talk about it because they feel bad that they're feeling resentment. Is that something you've noticed or something you've come across, with your work with mothers and families?
Well, I do. And I think resentment that you're describing also can kind of be linked back to mom guilt that people experience even while they're still raising the children, before they get to that point where they're out of the house and they feel resentment. And, mom guilt usually comes from you allowing the expectations of others to determine what happens to you. So what I tell moms is that you need to focus on being present. You need to focus on the connection you're having with your children rather than trying to find perfection. There is nothing like a perfect mom. We're humans, and that humanity would always come to play. No one, absolutely no one can be a perfect mom. So, yes, I do know that, some women have expressed that, but it's usually older women who would do that, because until when the kids start leaving, that's when they're like, okay, there's a lot of resentment. And then in terms of the younger ones saying that maybe the kids are not saying thank you, there have been discussions. Not saying thank you. Yeah, there have been discussions where I've heard that people say it and people do it, but I think it all comes down to your motherhood or parenting. Why? Why are you a mom? When that reason is strong enough, it'll be hard for you to allow resentment come in, because your parenting why, your motherhood why, would drive how you parent. It would drive how you raise your kids. If you know that I've been given a gift for 18 years to nurture, to build, so that gift can become maybe the next president. It can become the next innovator. It can become the next king. Then you know that there's work ahead of you. And you're doing it so that that gift becomes a gift to the world. When you do that, and again, there's still the factor of that gift has been given to you from God, and you owe God that responsibility to want to say, I've done my best. It helps you look beyond, as anybody said, thank you, or have the kids, so you've done your best, especially when you've given it your all. You have to tell yourself and pat yourself on the back to say, well done. And of course, there are other things that maybe as we go into conversations that once we discuss, would let you see that, as that's beyond that role, who are you? Because if you lose yourself as a woman in that role, that's again when the resentment will come in, because you'll be telling yourself, what else have I done?
But a lot of women actually complain about that, saying that, when they get to a particular age, you're like, oh, wow, I lost myself. I was just being a mother. Now they've woken up and they're like, okay, the children are grown. What do I now do now with my life? So a lot of women do lose themselves in motherhood.
That's it. Because as a woman, there are many roles. You're a sister to someone. You're a daughter to someone. Mm-hmm. You're a granddaughter. You're a CEO somewhere. Just think about the different labels. You're a friend to someone. But because you're a friend or a CEO, does that mean that you shut down every other part that you represent? You close up every other thing. Yes, I understand there are seasons, there are phases. When your kids are young, they demand a lot of attention, so you'd have to give them. It's a season. But don't drown yourself. Don't drown the woman in you in that season. Recognize that it's a season. And make sure that you think holistically as a woman. So in Momsaloud, what we do is we work with women looking at 6 main domains of life that makes you feel like you're wholesome.
What are those domains?
Okay, so we have the physical health, your mental wellness, your spiritual. We have wealth creation and investment business. We have career and work. Career and work is, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Yes. What makes you have a sense of meaning and purpose? That's different from wealth and all the other investment, because that's what makes you want to enjoy life. And then lastly, I remember now, this area we're talking about, which is family.
Okay.
And friends, so to say, which is where you show up as a mother. So remember the 6 domains I mentioned. In the family, and is where you show up as in your role as a mother. In your space within the mental wellness, you show up differently. That's when you're thinking about the emotional bit and all of that. In your space in the physical health, that's the whole of you. The body you're using to run around, because
taking care of it, exercising.
Exactly. When that's everything around your physical self and all that, that's when you nurture that body that's carrying you to do everything else. And of course, in your when I mentioned the family one, you also show up maybe as a wife, depending on you show up as a mother. You show up in many ways, so that's for family. Then in your spiritual as well, as you show up in different things. So for those who are believers, who want to show up as, whatever it is that thing that makes you give you that sense of with God, that sense of meaning and purpose with God. It might just be a calling that you have, that's one. And then of course we have the career where you're showing up as all the either CEOs or, an IT consultant or an engineer, a pilot, whatever you do in your career, or, a stay-at-home mom who's doing business, whatever it is that you do. And of course, you now have the wealth and investment where you're either securing your future, you want to make sure that I've got enough, I'm investing in this and all that. So you show up differently. So those are the different ways to show. So ensuring that because you're a mom, you don't shut out all those other domains is very important, because that's the whole you. And being able to have integration or harmony across all these domains is key for any woman.
But I have seen, people say that no woman can have it all. You can't have everything. But you're saying that, we need to, still maintain all those 6 domains and show up for ourselves in all those 6 domains. So are you then saying it's possible for you to have it all?
So, well, in terms of having it all, I'm not saying that you're going to have 100% in all those 6 at once. It's a case of what season am I in? And what do I need the most in that season? As a young mom, new mom who has children ages 0 to 3, you probably needed the most in your family life space, in that family. You need to show up more. So that might be what's taking 96% of your time.
Energy.
But don't lose yourself. And that's where, when women talk about losing themselves, that's what happens because of the number of diaper changes, because of the exhaustion, because all you're seeing is Bokun as a mother, Bokun as a mother. And if it goes on and on, before you forget who you are, a loss of identity can happen at that point. And that's where you say, I've lost myself. I don't know what's happening. No. It's a season and you're showing up more in that area. You might move to the next season of your life where you need to show up more is in your career. And you're just going for it. You're just going to get it, whatever it takes. And you might be in a season where you just need to show up in your physical health. Your health might need attention at that point, but it doesn't define who you are. You shouldn't now see yourself and, oh, my health is all that. No. It's a season and a phase. Once we see life in season and phases, we'll be able to, walk through those seasons. And in that season, what is success to you is different from what success is to me.
Yeah.
So define what success is to you in your own season. Enjoy it. Love it. Live in it. Don't compare because we're not going in the same direction.
One person might be more focused on the career. The other person might want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, at that point in time, that's your season. But like I said, never forget those 6 domains because that's kind of what makes you feel completely wholesome, like you're flourishing. Because if I ask you, I'm sure you can relate with it, those 6 areas of life to say, actually, think about anything you want to do. They would kind of fit into somewhere within one of those areas. Whatever it is that you're trying to, you would find that it's just, whatever makes you feel like I'm lost. Oh, I feel like I've lost my identity. There's something missing in one of those 6 areas. That's usually what I found. So that's how we work with mothers.
Earlier, you had mentioned finding yourself. Do you mind explaining that a bit more?
So again, it comes back to that woman. You're first a woman before any of the roles you have to find.
Before you're a wife, before you're
a wife. So you must find yourself, which is who are you? Your identity as a woman.
What's your dream? What's your vision?
So your identity first. That's why when I came in, I said, I'm a pure, boundless energy. That's me. Anywhere I go, I just got that energy. So that energy can now be translated into spiritual. When I show up in the spiritual phase or domain of life, I want to show up with my energy. I'm bringing it in. When I show up in my family, I want to come with my energy to say, you know what? As a wife, I'm bringing my energy. I'm giving it my 100%. I'm giving it, do you understand? If I show up in my career, I want to be top notch so that, if you're bringing me, the demands of the work, I can do it. I can deliver. When I show up mentally, I want to make sure that I've got it. I've got my girlfriends. I've got, that I spend time with, people just for my own mental wellness. I've got things I involve myself in such that, it gives me that space. Self-care doesn't become guilt. It doesn't feel like, I'm being lazy but I am filling up so that I can pour because once I'm empty,
there's nothing to give.
There's nothing to give. Once that woman is empty, so you need to fill up as a woman. That's what I mean by, X. Because if X is missing, there's no equation.
I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, not just with motherhood, but even with marriage. A lot of people don't know who they are. A lot of people, they think, oh, when I get married, if I'm married, okay, I've become somebody. Now I've become a wife. I'm something. I'm somebody.
Yeah.
So, you have these people walking around. They have no idea of what they are, what their vision is, what they want to achieve. And then before you know it, they get locked into a marriage and then they're confused. They're unhappy because you never worked on yourself. You never knew what you wanted. All you wanted was this thing. And then, suddenly marriage is done. Okay, I now want a child. Suddenly a child comes. You're now a mother. So you never knew yourself. You never understood yourself. You never knew what your vision or your passion was. And now you're just locked into all of these roles. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people have made. And a lot of people are even making currently now.
It's when you forget who you are, or a non-remembrance of self. That's what has led a lot of people into showing up as who they are. If they trace it back to who they were, especially the first 10 years, or maybe ages 0 to 10, even when, you were younger, maybe if you can, whatever age you can remember, that you still had that drive, you still had that passion, you still had that thing in you that was, many of us as young children either wanted to become astronauts, lawyers, accountants. That dream was in there, even for kids who were raised in the worst of conditions, there was something in you.
They still had a dream.
Yeah. But because of the circumstances, the people in your life, they started to show up and they were molding you. It was like you started forgetting those things. You started, those circumstances kind of overshadowed, and that sometimes make us to forget who we are.
Like people telling you can't do this course, don't study this, don't study that, you don't have money to even study this.
Yeah.
And so then you lose that dream.
Yeah, those little things start to pile up, and then before you know what's happening, by the time the child gets to age 6, and some of the words that we've heard, you can never amount to anything. You are this, you are that.
Not for people like you.
Starts to ring in your head, and before long, you're forgetting who you are. And then from there, that person is hurting or damaged already. And then you carry on without...
And damage other people.
Yeah,
you can damage your spouse, damage your children.
You just carry on without finding healing and closure and, moving on from those things that you now see yourself as, not the real you. And then you just carry on, carry the same hurt and carry the same, belief about yourself, limiting beliefs, and you carry all of that on. You get married, and then of course you now have children. You're passing those same values on to
other people.
It's just on and on.
And then you wake up 40 years later.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yes.
What am I doing?
Yes.
I'm upset. I'm depressed.
Exactly.
What do I do with my life now?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's it. It's a ripple effect. So a non-remembrance of self, or forgetting who you truly are, is why many people end up
in so much pain and too many problems.
Absolutely.
I think it's an advice you should actually give to people out there before you get into marriage, before you become a mother. Who are you? What are you? What's that X?
Yes.
Find yourself, focus on it, build it, so you feel fulfilled, so you don't go and damage other people out there.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that it might sound like a bit off topic, but because I work in the family life space, a lot of times, and I'm just going to put this out there, before people get married, please, if you're doing nothing, make sure you get professional marriage counseling.
That's a good one, actually, because
it will save you in many ways beyond what you can think or imagine. And when I said professional...
So you don't mean the one in church, or...?
The one in church is good, whether church or any other religious houses or whatever you believe in. But if and only if it's mixed with the professional ones. So if a church is doing one, I salute churches. Churches have done so much for many of us. I did mine in church and all. But what I would say is, if they can ensure that whoever is doing that in church is a professional.
Is qualified.
Exactly. The trained professional, a trained, family life coach or therapist, or, it's just a trained professional that would do it, because the church would focus mostly on the spiritual side. But you see,
the physical
marriage
health,
is not just the spiritual side.
No.
There are some habits that come in. People are coming with baggage. We just talked about people who have been battered, who've lost themselves, coming into marriages.
And damaging other people.
And once you start on that point, you just keep going. You talked about, once you show up as a wife damaged, you're probably going to show up as a mother. Exactly, you're probably going to show up as a mother damaged. So that ripple effect. So please, there are many out there. Most specifically, I belong to what you call the Institute of Family Systems Engineering. That's where I did my training. And that training saved me in many ways.
How?
Set me free because of the kind of things that we learn. That's how we train to become professionals. So in the training, I learned about these things around a non-remembrance of self. This loss of identity. I had to trace back to who I was when I was a little girl, when I was excited, when I was 5. What are the things that I wanted to do? Where did it go wrong? Where did I start to lose this Bokun? Where did I lose her? And I had to go and pick her that, come on, girl, go away. And I lost. So sorry. I'm sorry I left you here. Come with me.
So you had experienced losing yourself before?
Oh, yes, I have. Because
how did you know you had lost yourself?
The challenges of life, like I said, they come in many ways. We've all been through it. We've all been through one, and our stories, all our experiences, that's all what it makes up the total us. But there's a tendency that when you're going through things, you use the situation to define yourself. And that's when that loss happens. So imagine I started off as a young little girl. So for me, I wanted to be a lawyer, and I was always very excited about being a lawyer because people used to say that, oh, this girl talks a lot, and because of that, she'll be a good lawyer. So I had those dreams and vision. Oh, I'm going to show up in the courtroom. I'm just going to show with my wig. And, I just loved being that. And of course, I had a father that was very, he had a lot of ambition, and he just wanted to. So he rose within the careers and all of that. So I had people I could emulate. But along the line, things happened. And, I just, as those things were happening, as I was facing the challenges of life, that dream of being a lawyer or anything, of course, all that, got buried, and I was just trying to struggle and find my way. And I just started saying myself based on my current situation or circumstance at that point in time. And before I knew what was happening, it's time for you to marry, and then got married, and then, motherhood. I remember one day when I newly got married, and my husband said, I'm not your dad. Stop looking for your father in me.
Why did he say that?
So that tells you that there was a little girl in me that was either hurting, had not healed, or had lost, had forgotten who I was, that had carried into the marriage. And I wanted my husband, just like we said, when you're trying to get married, it's almost like there's something you're looking for that once I become Mrs., it's going to just change something in me. I just show up this way. And then I was putting a lot of demand on my husband, asking me to do A, B, C. It was just too much demand. I'm sure the man just felt, please, don't come and kill me. I can't show up as husband, father, this and that for you. I can't fulfill all those roles. I would have to, show up as the husband that I am. So don't demand everything. I can't be everything to you. And that's sometimes what happens to us as women. We're like, once I marry my husband, he's going to be my everything. He's going to be my friend. He's going to be this. And all the other support that you have, you start to put them aside, or, of course, again, time comes in when there's a lot of demand on you. So,
was there something you were missing in your dad that you wanted your husband to give you?
It's possible. It's possible that, there was something missing, because the demands I was putting on him felt like, why are you trying to, is it that you're trying to either compare me with your father to show up the way your dad did, so it was a lot on it. But when he gave me that reminder, it was like something woke up in me that, and there was a lot
Why am I doing this?
I had so much dependency on him at a point, because I was like, if I want to do any small thing, can you help me do this? And it's like, what's happening to you? Is it that
are you incapable of doing
these things, or
why do you want me to do
exactly
everything?
Or is it that you're not confident that you can actually achieve this, or that must I be involved in that? When I met you, you had dreams, and let those things, wake you up and get you going. You're first a human. It's not just about, what's the difference between a man and a woman? A man is the masculine expression of humanity. A woman is simply a feminine expression of humanity. This is not a case of what a man can do. No, I'm not after that. It's just, that's what makes us different. So use yourself to the fullest capacity. There's so much inside of us as women. And this is not a gender-based type of, conversation. It's about every one of us has got something in us.
We have our dream. We have our vision. And there's no way you'll be fulfilled in life if you don't do it. If you don't bring it out.
Yeah, just make sure that, like I said, with all the coaching I said about the counseling, it would help you, because in the institute and with some of the other coaches that we have, we go into details. What is your own why you want to get married? Then you go to the two of you, why did the two of you want to come together? What's the purpose? What do you want to achieve? What's your vision? And make sure that aligns. We have things like, understanding yourself is almost like a manual that describes you. Who is Ugonna? What makes Ugonna get upset? What would help Ugonna to come back when she's upset? It's called a manual. A manual describes, the microphone that we have. But most of us, what happens? We don't even look at it. If you look into the manual of this microphone, it will describe what the microphone does, how to take care of it. That's the same way we all need to kind of have like a manual that helps us to understand ourselves. That's what will help you not to forget who you truly are, because that manual is not done from when you've been battered by situations, circumstances, and all these things that we're facing, but it's been done with you in mind, taking you back to the origin when you first the child is born into the world as a gift. All those things that we know that, I'm a gift to the world. I'm here for a purpose. So that manual helps you to remind yourself
who you are,
who you truly are. And then once you have that, even when you forget, you can quickly go back, who am I? And then it helps you. So once you have that, both of you have it, you understand, you come together to do your shared vision, your shared purpose as a family, it becomes really hard for you to, have all the divorce rates that we're having,
or to lose yourself.
To lose yourself, or to now start having battered children or bad parenting. And I'm not saying things can't go wrong, even with but when they do go wrong, you will be human enough to be able to say, you know what, it probably didn't work out in marriage. It doesn't mean you failed in all those other dimensions I mentioned earlier. It doesn't mean because it didn't work out as husband and wife. Doesn't mean it should fail as being a father or a mother. It doesn't mean it should fail as being a career person. It doesn't mean, do you understand? Yes. So it helps you to, I think our world would be way better if, some of these things are put in place. Yes, we might not all be able to, get it right. But if you're getting to the point where you're going to get married, I always tell people it's one of the best things I've done for myself in terms of, being able to find myself and just know that was my true essence. It just helps you live life to the fullest.
Just in case there's someone watching who feels like they've lost themselves, what are the steps that you took to find yourself again?
Okay, so for me, I think personal development was one major thing that helped me.
In what way?
It helped me in, like I said, some of the courses I took, like that family systems one, and a few other ones, neuro-linguistic programming, and quite a number of, I just aligned myself to be able to understand who I was personally. Books, the community that could, help me rediscover who I was and all that, helped a lot in me getting to that point to discover myself. And now I just feel like, life has a meaning. It makes sense to me. Whether I'm showing up as a woman, whether I'm showing up in all my roles or first as a woman, it just helps me to embrace whoever it is that I'm showing up as, or whatever role I'm showing up as. So that has helped me in many ways. And of course, there's a spiritual part as well to it. But again, like I said, that personally developing helps you to look at those domains of life. And once you look at the domains of life, you feel wholesome. You feel complete, because it's like nothing missing, nothing broken. We talked about spiritual, we talked about the career, you talked about the mental wellness, you talked about, your family or friends. So it just covers everything that makes you whole. And honestly, that's what I did. It was through the courses I did. And then, worked on myself. It was personal development.
As a family practitioner, you've helped other people find themselves. So what are the steps that you take them through?
So if somebody walks up to me today to say, for the clients I've worked with, mostly mothers, I've worked a lot with mothers. The first step is always an assessment of where you are.
Okay.
I want to first see where you are. And there are assessments that we do. It's like you going to the doctors. ideally, depending on the kind of complaint you give the doctor, a doctor should, or the hospital should first say, oh, let's see some tests. Even if the test is check temperature, if it's, to check your BP, basic tests. So that's what I always start with people I work with the clients I work with. There's an assessment you would take. And that assessment is able to reveal to me, within a few minutes of you taking it, once the result is out, where you are. The assessment covers things like your personality. That's a whole different topic, because your personality and how you show up really matters. It's a strong influence on how we show up as humans. If it's for women, we also look at your emotional wellness. There's some assessment that will check your emotional wellness and how stable you are. It will look at, there's some assessment that will go into your past just for us to have an idea of who you are. The assessment about your love language, the assessment around your belief system. All those things come together, and we see your result. It tells us exactly, it just gives us a view of where you are in life. Once we have that assessment, usually we have like a debriefing session, because the assessment, and I tell you most times that assessment, all the clients I've worked with will tell them that describes them 100%. Honestly, because the assessment will just reveal, once you answer the questions properly, it will just show you, it's almost like your current state. Where are you? It's like a screenshot of where you are, who you are at that point, at that stage or that point in life. And once we have that assessment, we now have, come up with programs or things that you need to do to address whatever has come out in your assessment. Just like you would go to a doctor and he says, oh, I've just checked you. You have high BP. Do I need to do more assessment to check deep down what's, triggering that? Is it that this and that? So we just look at, and all that. And then we now start with treatment to say, now that I've seen your assessment, now that this is shown up, these are the things you now need to do to get you out so that you can become that awesome person. Because overall, the end game is for you to become whole.
Like maybe now you need to focus on this area of your life, that area of your life. You need to, like you mentioned, those 6 areas, maybe you're not giving them enough attention.
Everything will come out in the assessment. So we'll just see it to say, okay, yes, this is what you now need to work on. We need to take you through, forgiveness or healing. Maybe people in the past that have hurt you, that you're still holding on to. Are you hurting? So hurting people will always hurt others. You need to first heal and find closure, and then you can now be human again.
What are the major things that made you notice you had lost yourself? So in case there's someone out there who, who might be wondering, have I lost myself or not? What are the major things that happened, those triggers that can help you identify that, yes, at this point, I've, forgotten who I am?
I think for me, it was more, I just felt that there was something missing. There was this sense of dissatisfaction with life. There was this sense of always looking at what's happening out there, comparison. And our world doesn't even make it any easier with the advent of social media, because you're constantly
in your face every day. There's something in your face to make you.
But oddly enough, comparison, or for you to compare, it's not a bad thing. It's just human nature. It's where it takes you that is the most important. You can compare and say you get inspired.
Motivated to push yourself to do something.
But you can compare to the point of jealousy.
And frustration.
Envy.
And hating your own life.
Hatred, exactly. So those are some of the signs. I was just, getting to that, I was always looking out at what am I comparing and all that. And again, I don't know whether you'd say, sometimes people say midlife crisis or something. You get to that, it's like you get to a particular age and like, okay, my kids are growing. What exactly am I doing with my own life? What's happening to me? Where am I in the equation? Where is X? And you're looking, is X missing? What's happening? you're looking for that sense of fulfillment, that sense of purpose, that sense of I matter. I am doing something worthwhile. I'm not just passing through life. I'm eating, I'm sleeping. I'm waking up refreshed, like I've got something that drives me. So I started feeling those things. I knew that.
So you're lost.
Something is missing. And, like I said, whether you have kids or you're married, they're not going to be 100% of everything. There are other areas that they can't be everything to you. So that's when I knew.
I think it's important to mention that, when you felt like something was missing, you didn't just go find something to shove in there to fill up the gap, but you actually went to address yourself, to go and check in yourself. Am I fulfilled? Am I who I wanted to be? Because a lot of us, when something is missing, okay, let me go and buy this. Oh, something's missing.
Temporary.
Let me do this. Yeah, let me put more pictures on social media. Let me do that. Let me go to the gym and do this. So a lot of people, when something is missing, they don't realize it's time for me to address myself, go back to me. Instead, they start finding something to just shove in to fill up that gap.
Absolutely.
So it's important that you mentioned you went to go, check yourself and realize, oh, I'm lost. I'm not where I wanted to be.
Yeah, it's true. We try to use other things. It's just like sometimes when you think about when a woman wants to get married, some women are hiding away from something like, oh, I'm just going to escape that home. Finally, all the fact that, they just want to escape the fact that everybody has been asking them, when are you going to get married?
Yes.
And they don't get ready. They're not just.
I think I'm turning 30.
Exactly.
Something's missing. This is what is missing. Marriage will fix everything.
Family pressure, what's that clock? The biological clock ticking. There's so many things that makes you go into it without necessarily. So, yeah.
That's true. A lot of people have jumped into marriage just because, they thought marriage was what was going to fix what was missing in their lives. Yeah. And it might be because they didn't actually address themselves personally. So you mentioned social media. So sometimes I look at some comments on some, mothers' posts, and you see people saying that this generation of mothers is much lazier than before. That we whine too much, we complain too much, we rant too much on social media about parenting. What's your take on that? Have we just all become so lazy and spoilt as mothers, as parents these days?
I think that's a misconception, in my opinion.
How?
Because what we're having to deal with in today's age and time is totally different.
How?
From what, maybe the older generation were faced with. One, we're having to deal with working, not 24/7, but being involved in bringing to the table and the
income,
home.
Yeah.
That's alone, it's a lot of demand compared to, maybe the older generation where the focus was either for the man to work and then the woman was just supporting or doing something that was just, just so that she's home and able to provide that home support, so to say. But now, the stakes are higher. We're all out there bringing to the table. So when you think about it that way, you realize that there's a lot of demand on us as women. And if we don't find a way to create that sense of the right support or harmony, we're just going to be burnt out. Some women probably experienced it. Thank goodness we now have, like social media where some of the things that people feared or things that were like taboos are now becoming like norms where people are now opening up, able to share that, this is actually how I feel.
This is what's going on.
Do you understand? So that bit of saying people are lazy is a misconception, in my opinion, because our dynamics have changed. Now we have, technology that's coming in many ways. The parenting my parents did, it's not the same that I'm dealing with. They dealt with us being home, maybe those who were lucky enough to have telephones, those landlines where they can call and check on you. I'm dealing with a child who has a mobile phone, whose life, whether I want to give it to her or not, the world has become digital.
Yeah, all
AI
our friends
is now
are digital.
Exactly. So it's out there. Schools are digital. COVID showed that to us that schools were digital, and thank God for the fact that they were even digital, because that saved us. Imagine if schools weren't digital in those days. All of us would have been stuck at home having to teach our kids. So there's positivity to having that. But, the dynamics have changed.
What you're saying is just reminding me, I saw a video recently online talking about, I think, was it the 1950s or 60s, when women were doing more work like the men. And in the video, you could see the man just woke up, sat down, the woman fed him, the woman dressed the children, the woman prepared the children, the woman did the cooking, the woman took the kids out to her mother to watch them, the woman then went to work, came back the same time as the man, and then still had to put everything in order in the house. And making me think it is true. Things have changed. That dynamics have shifted. These days, some people can't even, afford to buy houses. Back then, our parents' generation, people could, buy houses. Prices were different. Things were easier. But now, men and women do have to work round the clock.
Yeah.
Like I know some people who, the father works during the day. The evening, the woman is the one working. So they're doing different shifts, not even getting to see or spend time with each other.
Yeah.
So things are different. Things are harder now.
Yes.
For mothers.
It is.
True. Also, there's this thing going on online. I know earlier you mentioned, social media is helping people see, this is what I'm going through, this is what you're going through, and we can then, work together, knowing that we're all sharing the same battle, sharing the same issues. But don't you think these days maybe some others are oversharing a bit online? It seems like these days everyone has their phone up, okay, this is what I feed my child in the day. This is what my child does. Oh, this is my child. My child has wet the bed. Oh, my child has done this. My child has done that. Don't you think we're kind of removing the idea of privacy for ourselves and our children and oversharing a bit too much online? What's your take on that?
So, I have many takes on that. And I'm trying to see which angle to come in from. So, in terms of oversharing, I believe that there's a bit of that happening now. Remind me, I don't know if we will have time to talk about the 17 diaper story of what happened online with a mother. But then, there's a video out there in case anyone is wondering or listening. There's a 17 diapers, so just Google it. You see a mom, I think she found 17 diapers in her house and all that. And when I saw that story, my initial reaction was, I was cringing.
17 diapers.
17 diapers in hell, like seriously. But again, I had to step back first, with my heart as a coach to say, there are many ways to look at it. There's a part of empathy, because I don't know what that woman's going through. That's not the whole story of everything. Empathy to say, what if she had postpartum blues that moved from postpartum blues to postpartum depression to such that she's overwhelmed that she can't
pick up all of that.
Pick up anything. But then again, a part of me looks at it and says, okay, you can't pick up anything. Who was recording that video?
Yeah, how come you had the time
How come
to
you
record
had the
it?
time to record the video? So what I say to people is, any part of your story you're sharing, whatever it is that you want to bring online or share with anyone, make sure the person you're sharing that story with has earned the right to hear that story. If you can answer that question, have they earned the right to hear my story? Have they earned it? Do I trust them with my story? Do they have story stewardship?
Why am I even telling them? What's
Would
the
they
reason
have
behind
it? What's the rationale? Why are you sharing that story? Have they earned the right to hear that part of your story, or you're just doing it for fame? If they've earned the right to say that part of your story, then good. You would notice that while I was talking, you asked about some things about, was I missing my father? There's a part of my story that I just feel that probably today is not the right time to say it about fatherhood. And that's why I've not said it. But there are parts of my story that I'm holding back to say, I'm not going to share everything all at once.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's oversharing.
You know who to share it with.
You know who to share it with.
Yes.
You know when you
feel
the
safe to
timing,
share
when
it.
it's, have they earned the right to your story? If they have, then fine, go ahead and share it. But if they've not, or you think, the rationale behind me sharing it is, the motive behind it is just not right, then please zip it.
These days, like, we do a lot of things for views.
Yes.
So we share so much for views.
Exactly. You're putting your kids online, and then you just remember that, safety, as we're thinking, physical safety, you have to think online safety as well. Your kids are there. But if you think whoever is viewing it, or, they've earned the right to it, by all means, please do share your story. It's not my story, it's your story. And that's why we need to protect ourselves from information overload. What's appropriate for what should I be hearing? And if somebody has overshared and you think it's not appropriate, then make sure that you get that out of your feeds, or define the time you're spending on the screen, so you're not overloaded with so much that even the things that you're feeding yourself with is not helping you. So that's it.
And sometimes you see parents complaining online, I have no time to do this or do that or do that. But you have time to film a whole video, get the right angles, edit it, check that, it's banging, it's an amazing video, and then upload it online for people to watch your whole life.
Yeah, exactly. So if they think those people have earned the right to their story, then fine. Because some people, that's what they do in their business, and they feel like, okay, this part of my story is what I'm sharing. I'm not sharing everything. Again, people are making money in many ways. That's, they have careers in many other areas. That is like, some people do podcasts and they bring all sorts of people onto the show, and people just talk because, everything the motive is
There's
different.
a motive behind
for you
everything.
who is sharing the story, what's the motive of the person that you're telling them? And then, what's your own motive for sharing? Is it for views? Is it to make more money? So whatever,
as if a cloud
tickles everybody's fancy.
Doing?
So, but again, for those who are listening, you now need to edit to say, nah, I'm not listening to that. My kids are not watching that. And so you can protect your own sanity.
And that's that's a good way to even protect your own mental health. Because if you don't overshare online, you won't have so much out there for people to use, to maybe pick at you, or to, start talking trash, because you're protecting yourself by knowing what you're sharing, knowing why you're sharing it. So how do you know when a person is worthy of your story? Or better yet, how do you know a person is not worthy of your story?
Worthiness of your story, I think, usually will come from a place of trust. People that you've seen that, you can trust with your story, that story remains intact. It's not misinterpreted. It's not translated into something else. It comes over time. It's earned. Just like people say, trust is earned. It's not automatic. So you start with, okay, I'll share things that are probably in my outer, what information that I'm happy that everybody hears.
Yeah, you don't mind people hearing.
That you don't mind it being in the public.
And then up on Twitter.
Exactly. So share that first. Start with that. That's the first stage. You test that. You see that, okay, I'm sharing that information maybe with a friend or with this, and it doesn't get mixed up or twisted anywhere else. Something that you're comfortable with. Once that's been tested and the person has passed that phase, wow, fantastic. Phase 1. Story stewardship. You were able to hold my story the way I told you, the way I wanted it, and you carried it, and that story remained the same. You protected it. When you've done that, you can now try the next one to say, okay, something a bit more personal. I'll try it. You share maybe with a friend, or you feel comfortable. That story also is carried with the same originality, weight, and everything that you shared with. And then that, you just go layer by layer. And of course, it would also depend on who you're sharing. There are certain things that shouldn't be out there. There should be layers, even in friendship. Even, you have people who are in your outer culture, like acquaintances, that people who you think are a bit in a closer circle, your, inner circle. And then you have those who are like your innermost, who, if you call them, I'm coming to your house now, it's happening. And even when you've done something wrong, those that will stand for you. And those ones, the level of things that you tell them, because over time you'd have tested them, you'd have seen that, they've kept your story. It's not like you've told your friend and then the world. So that's how, it works when it comes to trusting people and people earning the right to your story.
And I think a lot of people these days don't understand that story stewardship.
No.
Because I've seen things, apart from, when you go online, you see on Twitter, oh, my friend, this happened, my friend's married, this happened, that happened. My friend told me this. Everything is on Twitter. Someone's told you something private and everything is online.
Yeah.
And even with, sometimes, I've been in a place where I've heard, even pastors talking, somebody has told someone, oh, my wife slapped me, this. Before you know it, everybody, they just tell everybody, this man, his wife slapped him.
Exactly, yeah. So, that's where it starts from. So you need to know, before you open your mouth, think about it again, that this person I'm saying, or this place I'm sharing that story, are they going to be accountable enough with that story?
Is it going to stay here?
Yeah, or is that story just going to muffle into something else, misinterpreted, done that? Because you can't control it anymore. Once it leaves your mouth, anybody can interpret it the way they want. If you tell me something, exactly.
What damage could happen?
You have to think about it, the consequences, what's going to happen. Am I willing that everybody, is that public knowledge? It's just like, when you have classification of information, exactly. You have the ones that are classified as, private. You have those that are public information. Companies do it. They're parts of the account that are public. And there's certain information that will class as highly sensitive.
Yeah.
Or they will class it as, what's the highest classification of data? Top of my head is gone off, but there's a way they classify the highest level of data. Highly confidential, I think that's the highest level of data or something that they'll say, And you won't find that information everywhere, of course, except for some. That's the same way we should classify.
Only those who are worthy of knowing
about it. Yeah, that's the same way you need to classify what's public knowledge, what's private, what's highly, confidential. That shouldn't just be out there. It should be with a few people, and that's it.
So we talked about social media, and right now, do you think social media is helping mothers or ruining, this walk of motherhood?
So, social media is a two-way street. You know how you see a knife? What comes to mind? A knife can be used to what? Help us to cut, to chop our things in the kitchen and all that. But at the same time, that knife could destroy.
Can be a weapon.
A weapon. So, it's the same thing with social media. Social media can help at the same time. So you have to choose which side you want. Do you want it as a weapon, or do you want it to help you with what you're doing? So some of the ways it's helped us, social media is one of the reasons why people are watching this. It's helping us to communicate with the world. It's helping us to spread the information that needs to get out there.
To support other people.
Yes,
and you used it as Momsaloud.
We use it in our community to connect
people.
with other moms. So it's a big, big win for us in that space. It's helping us to also build systems. And, systems are how things can work effectively without, helps things to run effectively. So if you use it well, like, for instance, even the AI that we have now, it's helping a lot of us, those who are having to build content.
Make things easier.
It just makes it easier. There's so much that it does. On the flip side, on the negative side, however, we talked about comparison earlier.
Yes. I talked about oversharing.
That's one negative, which you now need to protect yourself. Another negative is screen time. It's becoming really, really addictive sometimes.
Even not just for children, for parents. You're on the screen, you're forgetting you have things to do.
So you now need to know that, what boundaries am I putting in place?
Yes.
To protect myself.
Make it healthy.
So that you're not just living online, you want to be present even with the kids. So like I said, it's a two-way street. You just need to choose which side you want to. So it's just being able to create that boundary, the balance to say, this is when to stop, this is what to do when you have social media, or this is not what to do. And just, too much of everything is bad. So make sure that there's a limit and you do everything in moderation.
Thank you. And I think sometimes we forget that the more we view something, there are people that are benefiting from us viewing it. Sometimes it's the owners of the app that are benefiting from your eyes being there constantly watching this and watching that.
That's a different discussion, because I think I heard someone say that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't allow his children to go on any...
But other people's children.
He's got Facebook and other people's children are probably... And Instagram, other people's children are using their life.
Consuming it every day.
Are you... what's it called? Are you the one at the table making decisions for others, or are you under the table just consuming? So you need to decide where you stand, in all of this. So, yeah, I think it's just about creating that... balance and putting boundaries in place is really important. Otherwise, it can go overboard. But it's definitely been an advantage. That's why we're here today. And yeah.
Okay. What does Momsaloud do to support women who are having difficulty juggling their career, like we mentioned earlier, and the family life or the life as a mother?
So we have tools, and we have resources, and we have a community.
Okay.
Resources come in different ways, and the tools that we use as well. So the tools, we have workshops, we have webinars, we organize events where we're just, learning and sharing. And we have some downloadables for mothers. So things like, if you're in the UK, for instance, we've got something that helps you with deciding whether, to use a childminder, a nursery. So we have quite a number of resources that we...
And where can we access them?
So with the resources, you have to, for now, be a part of our community to be able to get them, because, they're targeted for our community members. So you just join us on Instagram. It's at Momsaloud, or send us a message on Facebook at Momsaloud, and then, we'll bring you into the community and then share most of those resources with you. Well, some of those resources, actually, we do share them online. It's just that we have some targeted resources for our community members.
Yes.
And of course, as part of the community as well, what we do is we have the community that we have right now is majorly looking at new moms ages 0 to 5. So we give them targeted help, because that's one of the stages that we think that, we can easily get it wrong when it comes to motherhood, because once it starts to go wrong from the foundation, it might be difficult to. So we have what we call a budding system, where another mom, especially someone who's gone ahead of you, can hold your hand as a buddy, like a mentor thing that helps to mentor. So you can ask your questions in the community. The mentor, we have the mentors being able to reach out to you or call you. You can call your buddies, you check on your buddies, something that just provides that level of support, to the moms. So moms who have been through this journey, we call them veteran moms, kind of just and all the newer moms to the journey. So it can be personalized. And most times we also allow moms to share some of their stories about, what they've done, achievements they've done outside of motherhood. So, those kind of things would help others to see, oh, okay, actually, those are little reminders. And then, of course, we share snippets on our Instagram page. Just, we have a community where we share newsletters, where we share. So all you need to do is just join our community, and there's a lot in stock for you, whether you're a new mom, whether you're, the targeted one that we've found that we're really focusing on at this time and age is just mostly new moms. But we do have something for moms who are not necessarily new moms. Just join our community, and we're more than happy to help.
Oh, it sounds great, that especially that body system, having a mother who's been there and done it, assisting you and showing you the ropes. It sounds amazing. What you're doing with Momsaloud sounds amazing.
Thank you.
For people out there, especially mothers who have lost themselves, don't know what to do next, don't know where to go from here, what piece of advice do you have for them?
Okay. So to every mom out there who's lost themselves, I would say to you, first, you need to get the right support. And that support can be as simple as a community that just gets you. You need to get the right support. No, so before the support, you need to first come to that awareness, because it's always the first stage to come to the awareness that, you know what, I think I've lost myself and I do need help. Because it's only at that point, nobody can make you aware of something. So
only
you
you.
need to get, so once you're aware, you need to get the right support. Your support can be as little as a friend that is worthy of your story, or to be able to provide that support. You know, if friends are not necessarily the next step, then you want to extend it to say maybe a community that you believe that, you know, you can belong to, that gets you, whether you're a mother. So for us, we have communities like, you know, the Momsaloud one for moms, maybe a community that can help you get that support. If, you know, that community is probably not enough or you think you need more, I'll say seek professional help. As if you can go to a doctor for your physical health, then if you're not mentally there or you feel that there's something missing, then go get help, but make sure you're getting the right help from a professional who knows what they're doing. It's right, maybe somebody in the family life space that can help you. He would do you a world of good, because he helps you to now redefine success on your terms. And you can live life and enjoy it. You can, you know, live in the moment. You can enjoy when your kids are young. You can enjoy when they move to preschool. They can enjoy when they're, you know, adolescents. You can just live life because you've redefined success on your terms. When you're comparing, or when comparison comes, you're doing it out of a place of, you know, motivation and inspiration, not envy, and you're putting pressure. The world out there is full of pressure.
Of course.
So don't put yourself under any pressure anymore. Redefine what success is and just enjoy it. Live in the moment. Spend time with the people that you love. Spend time with the, you know, who give you the right energy, the right vibes. It's not worth it to just keep going around and you're worried, and just get the support that you need, get the tools, get the resources, and don't die in silence.
Thank you so much for your time. I've honestly enjoyed this conversation. It's honestly been so educative. It's been a blessing in so many ways. So where can people find you if they need, you know, access to that community?
So you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, just at Momsaloud. Very simple. At Momsaloud, Instagram or Facebook. Just either send us a message or just say hello, and we'll be there to lend you that. And so once you're part of our community, we have newsletters, you have things that you would get to know about what we do and all our programs. Different resources that we have. You can ask your questions. You can, you know, we can signpost you. And yes, Facebook or Instagram at Momsaloud. That's where you find us.
Oh, thank you so much. So don't forget to check out Momsaloud. If you need any support as a new mom, or whatever stage you might be in as a mother, check out Momsaloud and they'll show you the ropes. Thank you for watching. Thank you.